Barefoot shoes are all about stripping back and engaging with the world with minimal obstruction. But they're not perfect. If you're not careful, you can end up with a weird shoe collection that becomes an obstacle of its own. After 3 years of wearing and reviewing them, I'm going over 6 problems I've found and mistakes I've made that I don't want you to make too. And at the end, I'll also give you my advice on how to make a minimal but also great shoe collection. So, the first problem I've had with some Barefoot shoes is actually, believe it or not, being too minimal. This can happen. These sandals are one example of a shoe that is so thin and flexible that it doesn't provide the structure that I think you need in a shoe. That's one thing that a shoe has to do. It's got to protect your feet and give you enough kind of structure to hold yourself together and support your foot. You know, that can be done in a minimal way, but for me, this was so minimal that I think it went a little over the top. So I think my feet end up doing more work because of it, and they kind of hurt a little bit walking around in concrete all day just because of how thin they are. So just be careful. More minimal is not always better. That's one thing that I got wrong. Hey, this shot might have been a better idea in my head. The second problem I've had, and this is a mistake of my own, is over-specialization. For example, I got these shoes because I thought they'd be nice to wear around the house, kind of like a slipper, just throw them on and run out the door, get the mail, go downstairs, do the laundry, stuff like that. But it turns out I also have this shoe, which I can also slip on and go outside and go downstairs, whatever it is. It just takes 2.5 more seconds to put on. And I also have these shoes that I also throw on to go outside for a second, right? Turns out I don't really need them. Their function is already covered by other stuff that I have. But these are also a great opportunity to talk about the third problem, which is kind of their general chunkiness. Too much chunk. That's what I'm calling this one. They might just be a little too big for me, or maybe specialized for people with wider feet or something, but I don't like how they felt with the cork insole. But without the insole, there's a little too much wiggle room, and they're just kind of too bulky for me, right? So be careful of that when you're buying Barefoot shoes. Some of them end up just feeling kind of clunky. That was the same thing with the Barbaric Zing for me. Made a whole video about that, but that's that. Lems drifter, over specialization, too much chunk. The fourth problem, and another big mistake I've fallen into, is pursuit of the perfect shoe. This thought that, oh, maybe this one will be the perfect one, right? Like this one, like mine are pretty good, but maybe this one will solve all of my problems. Maybe this one will be better. So this Shama Elite Maximus is a good example of that for me, right? You've already seen I had another pair of Shama sandals. I have other ones, and I just wanted to find the one that would be the perfect one, and I wouldn't need any other ones, right? This was my attempt at that. I'll spare you the details, but it doesn't really exist, right? Now I just have another extra pair of Shama sandals that I don't need. So that's the fourth problem, pursuit of the perfect shoe. But we'll also run it back with these bad boys for the fifth problem that I had, which is actually securing to the foot. These are both good examples of this for me. One of the primary functions of footwear, they have to secure to your foot. For these ones, the strapping system just didn't stay for me. They were moved around and I couldn't keep them comfortable on my feet. Same thing here, the strapping system wasn't enough to the really thin outsole, right? So my feet end up having to work even harder to grip the shoe, which is really not what they should be doing. Yeah, it's definitely a real thing. Because Barefoot shoes give you that extra space in the top of your foot with your toes, you really got to make sure that your heel and ankle are secured in there well, right? Just know that that's kind of a risk with some Barefoot shoes. And it's going to make a big difference. It's going to dampen the benefits that you would get from them. My sixth problem is just having too many. The whole point of Barefoot shoes for me is freeing yourself to be more engaged with the world, right? It's silly to me to have so many pairs that I'm spending so much mental energy choosing which ones to have, and they're taking up so much physical space in the house. I don't need this many shoes. Like this Zero Prio Neo. It's a great shoe. I like this shoe. Made a video about them. But honestly, since I got the new Zero Win, I've got the Dylan Leather, I've got the Wildling Tanuki. Believe it or not, there might be another one on the way. Don't tell anybody. But yeah, they're good shoes, but why? Like I just don't probably need them, right? Same thing with the Boulder boot. I've now got the new Lems Outlander. Do I really need an old pair of Boulder boots? Yeah, they're more comfortable probably, but they also are slightly too small. The tread, they don't work in the winter, which I really need. And do you really need 2 pairs of boots, period? At least I probably don't. But the point is, it can be easy to just keep collecting them and keep adding on. We want to keep that minimal approach to things and fully take what Barefoot shoes have to offer, which is kind of the less is more mentality. That's my opinion anyway, and having too many shoes is definitely a big problem for me. So, all right, enough about the problems. Here's my real advice to you. Number 1, know thyself. That's what I'm calling this one. Are there any kind of specialized shoes that you're gonna need, right? Are you a runner? Are you a hiker? Are you a soccer player? Do you live in a cold, wintry, snowy area? Are you gonna need some boots? That's number 1. Second piece of advice, enough is good. Sometimes enough is good. You know, don't waste your time trying to find the perfect shoe. If you got a shoe that gets the job done, that's feels good enough on your feet, you can do whatever you want to do in them, yeah, that's good. Maybe just keep those until they break, right? Enough is good. So here's what I think a solid but also minimal collection of Barefoot shoes might look like. I would say 1 or 2 pairs of just an everyday beater shoe, right? Shoes that you're just gonna wear all the time, sneakers, whatever. You can probably get by with 1 or 2 of those. I would say 1 or 2 pairs of sandals. I love wearing sandals whenever I can. And if you live in a warmer place, I definitely recommend making sure you have some solid Barefoot sandals. These are the Pacific Avenue, they're my favorite, check it out. I have a video on those too. And 1 or 2 pairs of nicer shoes, right? For a date night or going to church or a wedding or whatever it's gonna be, right? It's good to have some nicer shoes for stuff like that. Keep them a little cleaner. You know, maybe you could double these as some of your everyday shoes. And then like I was saying, anything specialized you might need, right? I need boots, it's gonna be icy here. Maybe you're a thru hiker and you need a really solid hiking shoe. Long story short though, I think you can get by with probably 4 to 8 pairs of shoes. And that might even be more than you need. I'm just trying to give you an idea, kind of what I'm doing, frankly, and what it might look like to have a fully sufficient, but not over the top shoe collection. Also keep in mind, I probably have more shoes than I would otherwise just because I have this channel and it's worth it to me to invest in some just to check them out and have stuff to say. But stick around. I got videos on these, on these, on these, on these, and many more. So please subscribe. I think we're sitting at 1,467. Let's make it 1,468 if you subscribe. Every shoe featured in this video is also in my tier list video that I made, so check that one out if you want to see what I think about any of these shoes in particular, or check out the channel. Just want to let you know that's there. Love you. No, I don't, but I might like you a little bit. I'm actually going to put this on Facebook Marketplace though, not just leave it in the road.